Adam Green here with No More News. It's May 16th, 2019, and in this video we're going to talk about how Israel is hacking the world. Latest story in this development that I've been covering for a while now. WhatsApp voice calls used to inject Israeli spyware on phones. That's out of the Financial Times 2 days ago. Amnesty calls Israel to take action against firm linked to WhatsApp breach. That's Jerusalem Post 4 hours ago. And 2 days ago, Times of Israel says WhatsApp patches security flaw after suspected Israeli spyware injection. WhatsApp, one of the biggest messaging apps in the world, really big in foreign countries. We'll go into the story here. Jerusalem Post. This was from May 14th, 2 days ago. Israeli spyware at center of WhatsApp surveillance storm. The secretive NSO group is the developer of Pegasus, its flagship software capable of controlling and collecting information from target mobile devices. And it says, a vulnerability in popular messaging app WhatsApp reportedly enabled the installation of advanced surveillance spyware developed by Israeli cyber firm NSO Group on phones and other mobile devices. Discovered earlier this month by WhatsApp engineers, the flaw enables hackers to remotely install spyware developed by NSO Group by calling targets using WhatsApp's voice calling function, the Financial Times reported, adding that users did not need to answer the phone for the code to be inserted. Quote, the attack has all the hallmarks of a private company reportedly that works with governments to deliver spyware that takes over the functions of mobile phone operating systems. The secretive NSO Group is the developer of Pegasus, its flagship software capable of controlling and collecting information from target mobile devices. The company says it only sells its technology to government agencies for fighting crime and terror, of course, that using the justification of fighting crime and terror to hack the world. But its software has been allegedly to be behind spying on individuals, including Emirati activist Ahmed Mansour and Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi, murdered in the country's consulate in Istanbul in October 2018 by Saudi Crown Prince and Kushner's good buddy. More on that later. And as long as products like Pegasus are marketed without proper control and oversight, the rights and safety of Amnesty International staff and that of other activists, journalists, and dissidents around the world is at risk. We're all at risk of Israel's spying. And Pegasus spyware, you can see, Israel gives Pegasus spyware to countries like Saudi Arabia. That's how they were able to use a bone saw and murder Khashoggi. Israel's NSO, the business of spying on your phone, Financial Times 2 days ago. Israeli spyware at center of WhatsApp surveillance storm. That's the one I just read. And WhatsApp patches security flaw after suspected Israeli spyware injection. They claim that and Facebook owns WhatsApp also. So they say they fixed it now, I'm sure. Related, out of the Hill, Kushner and Saudi Crown
White House
Prince.
senior advisor Jared Kushner.
Kushner and Saudi Crown Prince communicated informally on WhatsApp report. All the crying from the Zionists and the Republicans about Hillary's private email server, which is criminal and awful. I'm not defending it at all, but they do the very same thing, if not worse, with Kushner. And this is just par for the course. You know, it's a trend, it's a theme with these Israeli hackers out of Haaretz. Top secret Israeli cyber attack firm revealed. It's called Candiru, named after an Amazon fish known to parasitize the human urethra, recruits heavily from 8200 intelligence unit, that's the Israel's equivalent to the NSA, and sells offensive tools for hacking computer systems. And I'm wearing the hood, yes, because I'm talking about hacking, so I'm pretending to be a hacker. Funny that this company, Candiru, is named after an Amazon fish that has the tendency to invade and parasitize the human urethra. In other words, it goes up the male genitalia. and then is a the name fits the company's business, which is offensive cyber. Offensive cyber, the technology used to hack into computers or smartphones and spy on users. Offensive cyber is big business in Israel, with industry sources saying it generates about 1 billion in sales a year. The biggest and most controversial of players is NSO, which I just talked about earlier. And look, there's the logo of the fish with the fangs that goes up. The Parasite. Interesting, Parasite, right? A parasite company that does hacking. Parasite, Haaretz, another article, we got all these ones and zeros here like the Matrix, revealed Israel's cyber spy industry helps world dictators hunt dissidents and gays. Haaretz investigation spanning 100 sources in 15 countries reveals Israel has become a leading exporter of tools for spying on civilians. Dictators around the world, even in countries with no formal ties to Israel, use these tools to eavesdrop on human rights activists, monitor emails, hack into apps, and record conversations. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that so lovely? And in other news, out of Cyber Scoop, ex-NSA employees criticize Mike Rogers' role with Israeli venture firm. There's Mike Rogers, an American traitor. Some former National Security Agency officials have strongly criticized ex-NSA director Michael Rogers. Michael Rogers was the director of our NSA, and he just made a decision to join the advisory board of a venture capital firm that is closely linked with an Israeli intelligence agency. Traitor for spying on the world. This is so dangerous, guys. This is how they're going to pull off the world domination. The company Team 8 announced Rogers' position last week, founded by former members of the elite Israeli Army intelligence group known as Unit 8200. Team 8 researches cybersecurity market demand, raises investments from big tech companies, and creates startups based on those demand signals. Rogers, who headed NSA and U.S. Cyber Command for 4 years before stepping down this past May, will advise companies in Team 8's portfolio, as well as companies under development. Oh, this couldn't be dangerous at all. Our government officials leaving to go get high-paying executive jobs for Israeli spy companies. And I've covered this a lot in the past already. If you Google my video or YouTube my video, Benjamin Netanyahu's Plan to Rule the World, you got to scroll down a bit, even though it's the exact title in the search bar, all the way down to here, Benjamin Netanyahu's Plan to Rule the World. No more news, 42,000 views a month ago. Notice all the videos that are ahead of me, like this PBS that only has 6.8 thousand 6 years ago, not even a related title. Mine has 42,000. It should be above that. It should be above CBS This Morning with 10,000 views. Should be above Israeli PM with 30,000 views. I've got more subs than Israeli PM too. I mean, you can make the argument that the algorithms put PBS and CBS above me, even though it's not fair, not a level playing field. But there's no way that Israeli PM should be above me because I have more subs, more views, more thumbs up, more relevance. And then the rest here all have more views, so we can, we can excuse those. Besides, the top search result is CBS, the nice all-seeing eye logo. And this is about, not even about the title, 18,000 views a year ago. You can see what's going on here with independent content creators being buried. So here's the video. It's 20 minutes, music, tons of headlines, compilation of Netanyahu's clips. Very, very, very important video. I plug it all the time. It hasn't had more than 2,000 views in the last few months since I first put it up because, I don't know, I'm going to put the link in the description. It'll be the top pinned to the comments. You have to share this. This is how they are going to rule the world with advanced technology. So important. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I have a couple of the highlights and some other videos that I covered with this is, it looks like it refreshed and it's down at the bottom, but we'll scroll down real quick. The videos that I made are called Who Runs the Internet is one of them. When we find it here in a second. It's Who Runs the Internet and Israel's Advanced Technology. I had it queued up. Okay, here we go. Israel, the high-tech superpower. That's 9 months ago. 9.1 thousand views back when my channel was a lot smaller. It's important to cover this stuff again because I got a lot of new followers. Who Runs the Internet, 15,000 views 9 months ago. Again, showing Google, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all of these top companies, Qualcomm, Cisco, Oracle, Intel, they're all heavily involved with Israel, moving their top research centers over to Israel, getting Israelis all involved from Israel's 8200 program. So let's move over now and show some of the highlights here. This is, we got to back it up a bit. This is, sorry guys, here we go. Let's go through some of these headlines. Execs from Facebook, Google, and Microsoft explain why they use Israel for their R&D. So all these companies, all this censorship, you hear all the time from the Zionists, oh, it's China that wants to take over the world. It's China that's doing the censorship. Israel is working closely with China with all this. They're building them up, and China is powerful, don't get me wrong, but anybody that talks about China all day in the Chi-Coms, like Alex Jones, and then omits and neglects Israel's role in all this, Israel's primary driving role behind all this, is a complete lying, disinfo gatekeeper. And I'm talking to you, Alex Jones and InfoWars, and all you Zionists that want to talk about China all day. You're lying. They're trying to shift the blame, keep the spotlight off of Israel, install for enough time so that they can get all of this censorship grid in place before it's too late. If we're put in checkmate, and they have full dominion over the whole world with this advanced technology. Complete Jewish supremacist hegemony. Apple to open R&D center in Israel report. Apple and Tim Cook also win ADL awards for censoring quote-unquote extremists, and they're doing a great job. They get ADL awards and donate to the ADL. We have Intel, the top chip maker in all electronics, basically. Times of Israel, how Intel became to be Israel's best tech friend. And then we have Intel invests $5 billion investment in Israeli plants. Yeah, making America great again. Intel CEO says, we think of ourselves as an Israeli company as much as a U.S. company. Dual loyalty, more to Israel. This is from one of Netanyahu's speeches at APEC. World's largest companies from 2007 to 2017, all of the top companies, most of them in information technology and energy, all of them in Israel, compared to 2007, as Netanyahu says, in a blink of an eye, they've dominated and taken over. And this is Netanyahu's, he admits this is his plan. I mean, who knows if it was only his plan, but a deliberate plan, a military operation to dominate in advanced technology and to dominate the world. Forbes, what the world's top 10 tech firms have in common? Well, the world's top 10 tech firms, mission critical work in Israel that's core to their businesses back at headquarters. Mission critical. We have Netanyahu says that Musk calls Israel a technological superpower, and Musk, quote, appreciates what they are doing in Israel. Technological superpower. Microsoft's top new tech in its Israel connection on display at Think Next. Microsoft, which a lot of their software for Windows is created in Israel, says they made it clear Israel is extremely important to the future fortunes of the company. Bill Gates says Israeli tech is, quote, changing the world. Israel's becoming an artificial intelligence powerhouse. Artificial intelligence that they're using to censor the internet. Here's Netanyahu's tweet, says Israel's a rising global power. They're a rising global power. Why are we sending them so many billions per year if there's a rising power and they're sending stuff to the moon? And this isn't all, and he tries to claim with his arrogance that it's because they're genius. It's because they're chosen. It's because they're special. No, it's because it's a military funded operation, and it's because they have been parasitical relationship off the United States and other countries to steal our technology with all of these binational tech relationships. Forbes, in Israel, a standout year for artificial intelligence technologies. AI, the Internet of Things, all things connected to the internet. Netanyahu says in this video that the bank accounts, the voting booths, the airplanes, the self-driving cars. Everything is connected to the internet. Everything is exposed and possibly at risk to be hacked. Well, we see the problem, reaction, solution. Israel's doing all the hacking, much of the hacking, creating the software for the hacking, and then they're the ones to come in as the saviors to protect everybody. It's an extortion racket. It's a clear extortion racket, and it's insane. Israel wins second largest number of cybersecurity deals globally, probably no bid contracts that go straight to them, all the funding. We know who owns the banks and the usurers, and it talks about all these AI cybersecurity startups. Council on Foreign Relations, InfoWars used to talk about the CFR, how they're so bad. They say Israel as a cyber superpower. Well, not one word about Israel's tech dominance out of your kosher conservatives. Forbes, how the small state of Israel is becoming a high-tech superpower. You hear all the time, oh, they're just a tiny little state. They're not going to take over anything. They're small. They don't, what are you afraid of? Yeah, tell that to the Roman Empire. Tell that to the British Empire. Netanyahu says that it's an advantage that they're a small country. And it's not how small you are, it's how much power is consolidated there. The Times of Israel, from Jerusalem shall come forth cybersecurity, says Cyber Guru. Oh, isn't it biblical? Jerusalem. And of course, the problem, reaction, solution. So they're going to turn the curse of hacking and the hacking threat into a blessing. Israel is going to be a light unto the nation. They're such a blessing. They're all going to protect us from the bad guys, who is really, as we see, WhatsApp and Pegasus and Stuxnet and all these groups, the parasite firm. Netanyahu wants a UN of the internet. A UN of the internet. He also calls, in one of these videos, he calls the UN an archaic body. The Sanhedrin in Israel wants to destroy the UN and have a new United Nations in Jerusalem. According to Ben Gurion, the first prime minister, said in his interviews in the 1960s, he says, as he predicts the future as prophesied by Isaiah, according to their prophecies, they will have a shrine of the prophets and a supreme court of mankind in Jerusalem. And now they're saying they want a UN of the internet in Jerusalem. And here's the quote. It says, the biggest challenge we face with the cyber world is protecting the privacy and security of the public. There could be a serious breach. Uh-oh, you watch out. Something bad might happen to you if we don't protect you. He said, quote, there should be a sort of UN for the internet, a coalition of the leading companies in the cyber world. Well, he brags that they're all Israeli companies. And in my opinion, Israel is the most advanced, he added. He wants to dominate the world with advanced security. There's no denying it. Anybody out there that is not talking about this is either willfully ignorant or they're a participant. They're compliant in all this, and they are part of this conspiracy. The Economist, Israel's ties with China are raising security concerns. They are sharing all the technology. They are moving all the manufacturing over there. They are using them as the new proxy to dominate the world with the Belt and Road Initiative. They are going to use up, if they haven't enough already, use up America, make the whole world hate us for these unjustified wars for Israel, and then they're going to possibly nuke us themselves. They're going to have another country attack us. They're going to just bleed us dry and leave us to blow away in the wind, as the quote says. CFR, caught between giants. How will Israel navigate the U.S.-China tech Cold War? We're in a Cold War with this technology. Wall Street Journal says, Chinese investment in Israel raises security fears. And I don't have the headline up now, but recently it said that the Chinese investments, the Chinese tech sector is drying up. So even they're second to Israel in the future in all of this stuff. In Israel-China ties, security takes a backseat to high-tech and economic. So our security, Israel and China are warming up with Jerusalem believing the U.S. is unlikely to take issue if exports of advanced military tech is kept out of the picture. You see, this is a concern. And then, of course, New York Post, it's not just cybersecurity, it's also weapons. A light unto the nations, arming the nations for mass war. Why Israel has the most technological advanced military on earth. Why? Probably because they steal all of our technology. CBN calls them weapon wizards. how tiny Israel became a military superpower. Well, they stole their nuclear program. They stole the nuclear triggers with Arnon Milchan. So dangerous to talk about this stuff, guys. And Dimona, JFK wanted to investigate Dimona, send in inspectors, and we know what happened to him. And of course, they have the Samson option where they point all of these nukes at the whole world. If they feel threatened, they'll push that button and blow up the whole world. If they feel threatened, just like Samson knocked down the synagogue or the temple. And they refuse to sign the nuclear non-proliferation agreement while they put sanction on other countries that want to create peaceful nuclear energy programs like Iran. The double standard and the hypocrisy is inconceivable how insane it is. Haaretz again. Israel's arm exports spike, hitting record $9 billion, arming the war, arming both sides of conflict, and provoking conflict all over the world. Here's Netanyahu bragging about their relationships all over the world and dominating in all countries with tech.
We are coloring the world blue. All these countries are coming to us. India, China, Mongolia, Kazakhstan, all of them. Azerbaijan, Muslim countries. So we're coloring the world blue. And you know what? The numbers, you remember people talked about Israel's isolation? Remember that? Israel's isolation?
BDS.
Pretty soon, the countries that don't have relations with us, they're going to be isolated.
Hear that? Netanyahu's threatening that he's going to be able to boycott anybody that doesn't go along with their Zionist agenda. And recently, I believe it was the ambassador was asked the question at the UN, and he said, Dormer, I believe it was, they asked him, is there ever a possibility in the future that you will boycott America? They were asking about BDS because they make it illegal for American citizens to boycott Israel for their human rights abuses and their war crimes and their insanity. So they pass laws that you can't boycott them. Meanwhile, they put sanctions on everybody, which is war, declarations of war, essentially. And then now he's threatening to boycott the world. And the ADL backs it and says boycotts don't work because their whole job is attacking critics of Israel and trying to silence them, put them out of business, get them fired, remove all incentive for people like me to cover this stuff. That's why it's so important. People that are honest out there, you have to support them. Otherwise, there's no incentive. They're trying to bury us all they can with the algorithms and with their artificial intelligence, like the ADL Jonathan Greenblatt said, that even people that search for this information, they redirect it to their propaganda. The world will boycott our high tech.
There are those who talk about boycotting Israel. We'll boycott them.
Netanyahu says Israeli high-tech stronger than boycotters. And U.S. lawmakers seek to criminally outlaw Adelson puppet Marco Rubio, senator out of Florida. He's the one that introduced this anti-BDS bill. While our government was shut down, this is the first bill our Senate tried to pass. I mean, if that doesn't tell you who's in charge, nothing will. And they're trying to push all these anti-Semitism bills too, and they won't give up. U.S. Senate passes anti-BDS bills, sending them to the House. They're still working on passing it federally, but 26 states have already passed BDS bills. Florida, for sure. New York, de Blasio says they will boycott the bathroom bill in North Carolina, but you can't boycott Israel because boycotts are un-American, he says. Again, the double standards, the hypocrisy. Forbes, 6 reasons Israel became a cybersecurity powerhouse, leading the $82 billion industry. Leading the industry. Tech Republic, how Israel is rewriting the future of cybersecurity and creating the next Silicon Valley. And how they do it is because it's a military operation, a plan, decades in the making. Israeli military intelligence unit drives country's high-tech boom. It's literally Mossad moles and operatives going all over the world, getting into infiltrating all of the companies, and as well as creating their own companies and setting up monopolies. Unit 8200's Israel's GCHQ has spawned more technology millionaires than many business schools. Israel's Edge, the story of IDF's most elite unit, Talpiot. Talpiot is the program where they go and recruit the youngest, best and brightest students Netanyahu jokes they're going to be going into kindergarten soon enough, and they get them teaching them the advanced science at a very early age, and then train them, indoctrinate them. There's mandatory military service, so they get them in the 8200, and then they go out across the world to dominate in tech. Each Talpiot graduate can make a 1% difference in battle. So it's war. This is cyber war on the whole world. Fortune, why Israel dominates in cybersecurity. This is just everywhere, all over the media, and we still have Alex Jones every day saying, oh, China's taking over the China social credit score. Who do you think brought the social credit score? Who do you think brought that technology? Who do you think brought communism to the Chi-Coms? Alex Jones. Who do you think is behind communism? It's well documented to anybody that knows history. And here we have some more Netanyahu bragging.
I decided several years ago.
So this is talking about getting in the Five Eyes and how he decided to do this military operation to dominate the world in technology.
I decided several years ago to turn Israel into one of the five cyber powers of the world, and that required allowing this combination of military intelligence, academia, and industry to converge in one place. Our NSA, which is called Unit A200, it's pretty big. How big?
Man, my cold's not going away. It's been like 3 weeks. For a long time, Unit 8200 was a big secret. They never talked about it. Only recently they've came out and started admitting it.
How big do you think it is? Well, I'll give you a hint. America, the United States, is about 42 times the size of Israel in terms of population. So how much bigger do you think the American NSA is relative to the Israeli NSA? It's not even 10 times bigger. You know the Five Eyes? Israel is the sixth eye? No, Israel is the second eye. Israel is the second eye.
So the Five Eyes, if you don't know, Snowden leaked documents, it showed GCHQ, which is the British version of NSA. They have this Five Eyes program with like New Zealand, England, America, and a few other kind of Western countries. And Israel is secretly involved too, and now they're the second biggest in the Five Eyes. And in these Snowden documents, you can still look them up, there was all these slides, these leaked slides about how they infiltrate and co-opt the internet, how they have sock puppets and trolls, how they put out fake conspiracy theories. I covered it in my documentary when I first started my channel called The Conspiracy Theory Conspiracy, and you could still look it up. Look up, Greenwald covered it. Edward Snowden, Greenwald, Intercept, Five Eyes, and the slides. I'll try to put a link in the description.
That tall tower there is the United States. The United States is bigger than Israel. But it ain't that much bigger than Israel.
How about that for arrogance and chutzpah? So he says the United States is bigger, but they're not that much bigger. And at the rate they're going, if you follow the rate they're going, they're going to be dominant in the whole world. They're going to surpass us if they haven't surpassed us already, because a lot of this America graph is a lot of Unit 8200 and you-know-who's owning the companies in the United States.
Tower there is the United States. The United States is bigger than Israel. But it ain't that much bigger than Israel.
Not that much bigger, and he wants to pass us. You know, without a doubt, he wants to pass us and dominate the whole world. And this is how they're going to be able to enforce their world government, their world religion, the temple, the Moshiach, all this stuff. This is how they're actually going to, real world, be able to pull it off. I'm sorry, guys. Sick again. Israel and the unexpected New World Order, the Jerusalem Post. Geographically, Israel is just off center. Why then is it treated with such respect, especially by the likes of superpowers, Russia and China and the United States? But we're being left out of this new Belt and Road initiative. Check this out. Most importantly, Israel is positioned to guard the world's internet with their cybersecurity. Everything today is traded and controlled and administered online, as we see PayPal kicking people off, all the social media people kicking people off, even WordPress and websites are being taken down too. And Israel is emerging as the world's #1 guardian of the World Wide Web. Oh, there are guardians. They're looking after us. That means regardless of being a few miles off track from China's land and maritime roads, it is positioned to be the center of both belts. That means the trading belts, all of the trade, and all of the online transactions with the internet. And then we have, it says, economists worry that China's ambition could trigger a global economic collapse, a currency collapse. Specifically, maybe BRICS and One Belt and Road don't care. So they want to, right now the United States and the Federal Reserve is the world currency. But they want to end that, and they want that to happen. See, the One Belt and Road, China and Israel don't care. A global currency collapse might be seen as a way to wipe the slate clean of nation-based currencies, especially the US dollar, and establish an international one like Bitcoin, perhaps. What does that sound like? A one world currency? Mark of the beast? Fulfilling their prophecies? If Bitcoin is the model for a new internet-based global currency, Israel is likely to be its guardian too, protecting that currency from hackers around the world. Yeah, fits in, right? As chief of security for the world's information and currency, and with energy independence, Israel stands to gain substantial wealth not seen since the days of King Solomon, was where it said somewhere else in this article. And then we have, this is the Economist headline. And I guess this has been photoshopped, this 2018 on here, but this is a real cover of the Economist. This is the phoenix rising from the ashes, like if the currency collapses and then they have a new coin, Bitcoin-like currency. You can see the end of paper money burning down here. That it's long been known that they want to have a cashless society so that you can't have black markets, and that they can monitor and track and know all buying and selling. They could turn off your chip, turn off your credit card, turn off your account if you don't go along with their program, if you're a political dissident, if you don't want to bow to their agenda. And then it shows here, this is 30 years ago, 1988, and it has a coin similar to Bitcoin, people suspect. And that was a magazine from The Economist. The Economist is owned by the Rothschilds, who founded Israel, who are closely connected to Chabad and all of this stuff. And it says here, Rothschilds close in on Economist. And it says, the Rothschilds, led by Lady Lynn de Rothschild, have been shareholders in The Economist for decades and regard themselves as the custodians of the magazine's legacy. Somebody told me I was wrong, and it was a conspiracy on Twitter that I said the Rothschilds are behind The Economist. And here's the Rothschilds built, designed, and funded the Supreme Court in Israel. Remember the Supreme Court of mankind they wanted? But that'll be out of the temple. And as you can see, the Masonic all-seeing eye here, the symbolism, the all-seeing eye pyramid, it has the eye in it and everything. There they are, the photo at the Supreme Court with the Rothschilds and Shimon Peres, Isaac Rabin and the designers. There's the pyramid with the all-seeing eye, just like on our money. In the Jerusalem Post, Israel's banking on digital shekel, cryptocurrency. The Bank of Israel has been examining the possibility of a state-sponsored currency for several months. And exclusive, Israel's answer to Bitcoin, a digital shekel that could replace cash. They also have a cryptocurrency I showed in my video this morning, about that's to raise money for the third temple, a crypto that's raising money for the third temple to be built. And they also have coins with Trump on them, the temple coin from the Temple Institute that is raising money to also rebuild the third temple, so their Messiah can dwell in there and they can rule the world according to their prophecy. And just recently, interesting, a congressman said that they want to that he wants to have a bill to ban cryptocurrency because of them losing power with the Federal Reserve and the reserve notes and the petrodollar, and their ability to control trade, and for them to apply sanctions on countries. I suspect that it could possibly be a reverse psychology. They're saying they want to ban it because they really want people to flock to it. And once the guy said he was going to ban it, the politician, the stock price jumped up, unsurprisingly. Israel's the blockchain capital of the world. That's the technology behind cryptocurrency, blockchain. Apple founder, remember Apple has their R&D centers in Israel? Founder Steve Wozniak hopes Bitcoin will become a single global currency, a one world currency, mark of the beast, no competition of currencies, consolidated, centralized control. And I know people are saying, you don't know anything about crypto. It's decentralized. It's not traceable. It's anonymous. they will put in a way where they control it. It reminds me of the film with Justin Timberlake called Time. If you haven't seen that movie, Time, it's all about how they have a digital money on their wrist. It's like a little, so their currency is life. They're genetically modified to stop aging at the age of 25. And then as long as you have money, the currency on your wrist, you can continue living forever. Some guy gives him a bunch of money. He goes through all these checkpoints to go from the ghetto to the elite areas of the world. He goes in, finds this crypto bank and destroys it and shows it's all fiat currency. Very symbolic, very predictive programming for what's going on. They hide so much stuff in Hollywood, who's, the Kabbalah wizards behind Hollywood, the big billionaire producers in Hollywood like Arnon Milchan. And here's USA Today. You will get chipped. We got our chips in our credit cards. They're already chipping people that work for certain companies, and they're saying you will get chipped eventually. They're chipping the dogs, normalizing it, assimilating it, and it's very scary. Another big concern, I mentioned all of the websites being taken down. Yeah, we're being censored off of social media, but now websites also. The biggest one, WordPress, is doing it. A bunch of... let's see, who got taken off? Mark Glenn, The Ugly Truth, got taken off. I heard another website today got taken off. I can't remember, from WordPress. Several others. Ken Doc was another one. I could name. It's a bunch of them. None of it should be happening. It's clear censorship. It's clear violations of free speech. And any groups like the ADL or whoever, Right Wing Watch, CNN, people that are trying to get people shut down and take their free speech away, that's treason. Free speech is the fundamental principle of America. If you take that away, you are treasonous, and I think you can look up for what the punishment is for treason. So another big concern with websites, Jerusalem Post, 4 Israeli entrepreneurs and their groundbreaking startups. Well, one of those, Avishai Abrahimi, the man behind Wix, the do-it-yourself website hosting service. And this is what he's best known for, the man behind Wix. In the early 1990s, Abrahimi's first job was a crack cybersecurity team known as Unit 8200 in the Israeli military. His mission, to hack into computers of 2 hostile nations. So Wix, one of the top website hosts, is Unit 8200, founded by Unit 8200. I mean, none of them are safe. People go like, oh, just stay away from there. The whole internet is compromised. The whole internet. There's nowhere to run anymore. Just assume, we've known since the Patriot Act, essentially, that and Edward Snowden, and even before that, everything is spied on. Just assumed everything you do is read. Every text message, every email, every time your phone is on with the camera, they can look at all of it. There's no privacy at all anymore. And it says, after leaving Unit 8200, Abrahami's career took a different track. He co-founded Wix.com in 2006. And by 2010, the company had 3.5 million users. This grew to 8.5 million by 2011. By 2014, more than 34 million users had signed up to the Wix platform. So 34 million users, all in the complete hands of Unit 8200 and Benjamin Netanyahu. And then he took the company public in 2013. On the same day, he sold 500,000 of his shares and became a multi-billionaire. They're based in Tel Aviv, like all the rest of these companies that I showed you, all the big tech companies, all the tech monopolies. It's a cabal. It's an oligarchy, all in the hands of Mossad, Netanyahu, and Unit 8200. And look at this. This is a huge concern, and I suspect that it's being subsidized. They are being subsidized with the advanced military operation to get everybody on board their platform, and then put everybody else out of business. They can become a monopoly, and then that's when they start kicking people off, and then they set up barriers to entry so no other alternatives can pop up, just like we're seeing with social media. So everywhere you look online, when you look into getting a website, like PC reviews, the top one, Wix. They're the top at every one. See, Editor's Choice. It's the cheapest. It's the best. It's the easiest. Every single site online. Top 10 sites. Wix, number 1. I use Squarespace for mine, even though it's more expensive, not as easy to use, and has far lower scores. That's what you have to do to support BDS and to not be at the whims of Israeli intelligence. Here's again Wix at the top of the list, 9.8. By far the best. They want everybody to hop on board Wix. I wonder why. Subsidized military operation to take control of all the internet. Again, Wix at the very top. Another website, Wix at the very top. Squarespace isn't even in the top 5 on this one, the one I use. 9.8. Anybody trying to create a website, who would not just go with Wix without even thinking twice about it? Be very suspicious of this, guys. What kind of sites can be created with a website? Again, Wix, look, they win the medal. They're the very best. Squarespace doesn't even stand a chance. Again, Wix at the very top. You see the trend here. And then when Rashida Tlaib, the BDS Muslim congresswoman, I'm not endorsing her, not supporting her, but they go, oh, look, BDS fail, Muslim congresswoman used Israeli technology. Yeah, they don't leave you any other choice. Google is Israeli technology. Microsoft is Israeli technology. Apple is Israeli technology. Qualcomm, the chip that makes the chips in all of the Google phones, is Israeli technology. Cisco, which does all the programs, Oracle, all of them, they're all Israeli technology. Now I'm going to play you this video that's available to watch the whole thing on Vice News. Again, not an endorsement of Vice. I know they're awful, but they did a good job with this video. It's got 1.7 million views, and I took this screenshot almost a year ago. How Israel rules the world of cybersecurity. How's that for rhetoric, for language? How Israel rules the world. They call this a conspiracy too. I'm sure they'll call this whole video they'll probably censor it and say it's hate speech and an anti-Semitic conspiracy because, why not? They can get away with it. So here we go.
Do you think Israel's private cybersecurity industry is essentially the child of the Israeli military's affairs?
I don't know. Is the grass green? Is the ocean blue? Or is the sky blue? Is the ocean full of water? Of course it is.
Absolutely. The whole of the Israeli cyber industry relies on knowledge gathered by people serving in Israel's different security agencies and the military.
Military service is mandatory for most Israeli citizens, and one of the largest parts of the Israeli Defense Force is its cyber and intelligence units. These entire units, and some 20,000 cyber soldiers, are now being relocated to Beersheba, a desert city which is quickly becoming Israel's Silicon Valley. This military-industrial cyber complex is said to be the largest infrastructure project in Israel's history. Do you think Israel's private cybersecurity industry...
Okay, we already...
What's the significance of the military being a part of all of this?
Because going to the service is compulsory, you can look at the Israeli army as the largest HR organization in the world. Because practically speaking, they start scanning the layers of the Israeli population and position the right people in the right places, especially in elite units. So if you think about it, you take somebody who is 18 years...
He's describing Talpiot program right now. The Talpiot Netanyahu says in the video, they're finding people as young as in kindergarten. The smartest ones in kindergarten and putting them in all these advanced technology classes so that they could serve Israel. They could go be moles and spies all over the world and tech companies. They can create their own tech companies and dominate the whole world with the... Technology is the future. There's no denying that. And they are trying to dominate the future with this military deliberate program.
Years of age, and you get them exposed to the state-of-the-art technology, to the highly advanced paradigms and methodologies. So when they go out of the service at the age of 23, 24, from an IBM point of view, or from EMC point of view, or from Intel point of view, somebody has already conducted the screening and already selected the best they can get in that sense.
Netanyahu says, yeah, we have our Mossad agents and our Unit 8200 agents. They go out and they create partnerships and they get jobs and stuff. So, Mossad is infiltrating all of the tech companies all over the place.
But the initial screening and recruitment process for the IDF's most elite cyber units actually begins much earlier. In 2013, the Ministry of Defense helped create a national program for high school students interested in learning more about the realm of cyber. These after-school classes have become unofficial feeder programs for the IDF cyber units.
Obviously, there's nothing illegal or wrong for them wanting to exceed in cybersecurity and to exceed in science and technology. But the thing is this is a military operation that all Americans, everybody in the world needs to be aware of. It's very important. Do we want to give a monopoly of control, all the power of guarding the internet and the future of technology to one psychopathic country? That thinks they're chosen by God, that thinks non-Jews are meant to be their slaves in the end times? Is this the people we want to be the guardians of the internet? Of course not. Of course not. This is extremely dangerous. More than dangerous. I need a word better than dangerous. This is apocalyptic. This is Armageddon. This is insane. Black-pilled. Clown world.
We met with a recruiter for one of those units, C4I. we could not reveal her identity because of a security clearance.
מועמד אידיאלי, מישהו שאני מחפשת, בן נוער, בת נוער, עם קוגניציה ברמה גבוהה משאר בני הנוער שיש במדינה. ילדים שהאופי שלהם מספיק חזק בשביל להתמודד עם אתגרים טכנולוגיים במימד הסייבר, וככה אנחנו מניחים את ידינו לטובים ביותר ומביאים אותם למיון.
I know that all of the branches are different, but there does seem to be some that stick out in the hierarchy. So, for example, 8200 has
תחילת ה-8200.
See?
For decades,
She said, how do you know about Unit 8200? Because it was a secret for a long time.
it's secret. Partially because this elite cyber intelligence division doesn't just provide defense. In fact, they're responsible for one of the most aggressive cyber attacks in history.
See, it's not just defense. They're responsible for for Stuxnet when they blew up Iran's nuclear program with a virus. And look, as I showed in the beginning, WhatsApp, NSO, Pegasus, and all, just so you know, before 9/11, or at the time of 9/11, all of the phone calls were being wired through Israel. So they had all the phone calls, they have all the records, they've got backdoors into everything since all the way back in 9/11, even.
In fact, they're responsible for one of the most aggressive cyber attacks in history. Stuxnet, a cyber attack that sabotaged the Iranian nuclear program by destroying centrifuges at the Natanz nuclear facility, is widely believed to be a joint operation of Unit 8200 and the NSA. And in 2014, 43 former members of 8200 wrote an open letter to the Prime Minister, refusing to serve because of the unit's widespread use of surveillance.
You hear that? A bunch of people in Unit 8200 here, they wrote a letter to Netanyahu saying, "We veterans of Unit 8200 reserve soldiers, both past and present, declare that we refuse to take part in actions against Palestinians and refuse to continue serving as tools in deepening the military control over the occupied territories." And it's not just Palestine. They consider the whole world Palestine. We don't have solidarity and stand up for Palestine, the whole world's going to be treated like how they treat Palestine.
Because of the unit's widespread use of surveillance. We met with one of the soldiers who signed the letter.
Israeli intelligence is
It's
everywhere, literally everywhere, in the Palestinian territories.
all over the world too, not just Palestine. And look at this is the repercussions of this.
Doesn't matter whether they're suspect of something or
Doesn't matter if there's a warrant, like the NSA, doesn't matter. They spy on everything. They collect everything. Doesn't matter if you're a criminal, they don't get a warrant, doesn't matter.
not, whether they're political activists or whatever. No one's off limits. If you find out that someone might be having an affair, someone is
If you find out that someone might be having an affair, or someone that is gay, or somebody that has something, committed a crime, something bad.
One is gay. When you come across that information, instead of it being put away as
When you come across that information, instead of being put away as irrelevant, they use it.
irrelevant, it's something that you would send forward and it would be used.
Send forward to Mossad, and it will be used to blackmail, to turn somebody into an asset, an informant, to control them as a controlled opposition gatekeeper like Alex Jones, who I wish I had the clip, but 10 years ago he said, everybody knows Israel's the king of blackmail, and then listen to what he says now. Don't talk about Israel. You're anti-Semitic if you talk about Israel. Forget Zionism. China's the problem. China's behind the censorship. I think we can see why, Mr. Trannygate.
Someone's cheating on their wife, and Unit 8200 have discovered this. What's the benefit of having that information?
Israel can approach them and get them to cooperate one way or another, be it get some information, go photograph some places, and what they get out of it is their secret has not been revealed.
It's blackmail.
Yeah, you can call it blackmail.
Blackmail. Israel's blackmailing the whole world. They're hacking the whole world, and they're using the information as blackmail. And on the TV show or Netflix show, Mossad, they talk about that. They spy on people, they blackmail them, they turn them into assets and informants, and they use them. They're very good at this. Now, this is a Wired video called "The Talmud is the Backbone of Israeli Tech Industry." Of course, the Talmud, listen to this.
We also devote time to Talmud study. Talmud is really
So this is one of the advanced schools that trains people for Unit 8200.
We also devote time to Talmud study. Talmud is really composed of two documents. One is this code developed in the 3rd century called the Mishnah, and the discussions that built around that text in the 200 years after, what we call the Gemara. The relevance goes on. We have to constantly reapply and rethink, but there's wisdom there that seems to transcend time.
The Talmud itself is a 600-year argument.
Oh, the Talmud is so great. Benjamin Shapiro loves the Talmud. He goes, that's why we have the Talmud on Dave Rubin. Netanyahu says that the Talmud is the basis for Jewish law, for Israeli law in the United States. Also, as I've shown before, the Talmud is extremely popular in China. It's moving over to China. They're following it as a business guide. That's the headline that it was. Okay, guys, my throat's killing me. I can't believe I haven't knocked this cold yet. Check out, very important, watch this Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to rule the world. Share this video, share Benjamin Netanyahu, share it with everybody you know, tell everybody you know. Don't let these Zionist gatekeepers get away with covering up Israel's tech dominance. We're talking about the fate of the future, the fate of the world, giving a small group of people complete control over technology and the internet. Like, share, subscribe. I'm Adam Green with No More News. Check out nomorenews.org. Contact me with any guest requests, information, stories you want me to cover. I could be censored any day now. Follow No More News with your email address so you can I can reach out to you and you can access my videos, which are all posted down here through the website. Don't you have to get away from going to YouTube for all of your info. You have to bookmark websites you like. Bookmark nomorenews.org. And then, of course, I can't do this without you. Thanks so much to everybody out there supporting. You're what keeps me going. Every dollar helps. The donate button available here, Patreon, PayPal. It means everything to me. And vote with your dollars. Otherwise, there's no incentive to do this stuff because you gotta pay the bills. You gotta pay for electricity and the lights to be able to make videos like this. So thank you for watching. That's all for now. Stay tuned for more videos. And until next time, I'm Adam Green with No More News.